Okay. Calling to order, reorder, whatever you want to call it, the regular council meeting. All right, we are back on the regular meeting. So, moving to item number 4, adoption of minutes. 4.1 recommendation that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on February 14th, 2023. I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you very much. All those in favor?
Could we have discussion?
Oh, absolutely.
I would like to table them to the next meeting so that the CAO has the opportunity to add to her report if she chooses to.
Oh, yes. Okay, can I get a seconder on that motion? Thank you. All those in favor of...
Point of order, we already had our motion on the floor. I think we have to vote down Councillor Johnson's order and then motion.
No, because we then moved to discussion. So
Yeah, but
he seconded it to get it into discussion. Yeah. So all those in favor of tabling the minutes for now, and then if our CAO can make amendments to her CAO report. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. All right. Number 5, introduction of late items. Item number 6, public hearings. None. Delegations. 7.1 recommendations. Let me read that.
Council hears the delegation from Jeremy Linklater of the Dare to Dream Society.
Okay, seconder, Councillor Whittle, thank you very much. Alrighty, gentlemen, you are up.
would you like to hear anyway?
And you can sit at the podium there, visible podium over there.
Not the camera.
Not in front of the camera. That's the only rule, yes.
Hello, thanks for having me and TJ's coming along with me today. My name is Jeremy Linklater for the faces that I don't recognize. There's a few of you there. I have a society called the Dare to Dream Society in Dawson Creek. We put on a free music festival down in Kim Park. If you're not aware of what we do, that is what we do, and it's kind of unique in a sense that where it is free, right? Like we put on these events and it's free for the community. And now we've always kind of been wanting to get involved with Canada Day. We kind of started the process a bit last year. The mayor, current mayor, was there last year, Marcel as well, as council people. And now we're there again this year. So we have an idea of what we would like to do, and somewhat of a budget. And we also talked to TJ. Did I call you Tyler there? Sorry, TJ. And we kind of thought maybe both our non-for-profits could synergistically work together and create a pretty cool Canada Day experience, you know? So what we're thinking is maybe having a big event with the music, bounce castles, all the normal stuff that we usually have, and then we would bring in TJ and his crew, and maybe TJ could...
Yeah, so what we thought was we could kind of work together with helping with anything he needs help with. We could also bring in a ball tournament as well at the same time. Used to be hosted in the past. And then basically I would run a ball tournament from 9 a.m., take a break for the guys to see the parade, and then carry that on until about 5 o'clock at night. 5 o'clock at night to just keep people down there, right? So we're drawing people in. The whole idea that we came up with is to get people down there, but keep people down here all day. Go back to you with some of your ideas for keeping down.
Yes, we have lots of ideas. However, we don't really know exactly what you're expecting to. I mean, I'm assuming it'd be something similar to what you've always had, right? But we'd always like to maybe do a little bit more and give back a little more. However, that kind of comes down to what you guys want and what we can agree upon for a budget, right? So this would probably be our foot in the door and get the ball rolling. And then if you guys would like to go forward, maybe we could discuss a little further on the details like that. But one question though, over here, are you guys and gals stuck on using the Poos Park?
Well, that's generally up to council. I would recommend we do stick with the Poos Park just because that's where it traditionally is, and that does keep it in Poos Kupi. But that is something we could definitely work out. We're not able to make any motions currently, but that is something that you could work out with staff to maybe bring forward.
Yeah.
Different.
So we get the gears spinning, right? In the ball.
Yeah, different locations that maybe you'd like to host it.
Yeah, we have some other ideas, right? So, in my opinion, I think, and many others have come forward, since the park had that devastating flood. It's not quite the same. It's not the same atmosphere. There's not enough parking. There's no cafeteria buildings. And I found I got a lot of comments of people just didn't want to go down. You know, like there was an option of a bus to try to get people down. Like it was a bit. It wasn't
Highway traffic.
Yeah, it wasn't as
easy.
inviting as I think that we would have hoped. But I know when you guys just started doing it up at the school, that it was quite the welcoming, right? And it was a lot more convenient for a lot of people, a lot more parking and stuff like that. And then if we had the ball tournament going on right there as well, everybody'd be right down on Poos, like Poos, walking distance to all the
Everything was
amenities.
already out for the parade to just come over.
I think it's a little more practical. Although I love that park and I've always wanted to use that park, it's trying to figure out, is it really, are we gonna affect more people in a certain location than the other? Are we gonna attract more people when it's one location or another? We keep more people in one location or another? So it's something to really think about, right? I'm open to whatever you guys would like to do and open to discussion, obviously, for their.
You have a question?
Is your presentation complete?
Pretty much, that's, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then we'll move into question period.
Sure.
So, Councillor Rebel.
So your proposal would be to utilize village-owned lands and possibly school-owned lands, which would have to go into discussion with School District 59 in regards to that. But anyway, the baseball diamonds north of the school, that kind of whole area, campgrounds, skate park, all this kind of stuff, to host Canada Day there.
As used in the past.
Yeah, it was done like, what, 2-3 years there or something? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, after the park.
Yeah.
Did it up there.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay, Councillor Rebel.
In regards to you guys working together, what would that look like? What kind of agreements would have to be in place for that to work out? I understand you guys have hosted events separately. Have you ever hosted events and celebrations together before?
Not him and I, but I've hosted other events with other non-profits, for example. Are you wondering how it would work between us two or between
The two organizations.
Well, between us, we've pretty much figured that out. I mean, it's not too difficult. He'd be doing like, just to get the gist of it, he'd be kind of doing this tournament, and then when he does his awards, he'd come over to our band stage where we got a mic already. He could do his awards and ceremonies and stuff like that at the end of the day, and then maybe we'd have one more band to follow, for example. And we have some other ideas too, but we can discuss, you know, how far we're going to go, right? But as far as synergy between the two of us, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Okay, Councillor Whittle.
Yeah, so speaking from experience, I've seen events that both of you gentlemen have hosted over the years. I've known both of you for a number of years, and yeah, personally speaking, I've seen both you gentlemen host excellent events and put their heart and soul into it. So I have no doubt that these two gentlemen can bring us an amazing event to the village of Poos Koopy. Biggest thing is, you know, sitting down and I think looking at an opportunity where council and you guys have a chance to possibly talk and kind of get some ideas and, you know, have you guys work with staff in order to start kind of getting some budget ideas and that kind of stuff together, because that's where I think the big crunch is going to come for us is how much money do you want, how much money do we going to spend?
Exactly. And we have a bit of a baseline idea. However, we need to also see what your expectations are, your baseline expectations are. What's the minimum that you want to see from us, you know? Like as far as the baseball tournament, that's fairly straightforward. But for the event, for the celebration, a little more details there, right?
Councillor Whittle.
And I know we ran into this issue last year because for those of you that don't know, Jeremy consulted last year with helping getting Canada Day organized, and we started exploring this idea of having Dare to Dream come in last year. We actually started looking into this and stuff. So what was my point I was getting at? The other thing I was going to ask you was with the organization. Jeez, I had a brain fart moment there. My apologies. Yeah, it'll come to me. My apologies. I had an idea where I was going with this.
So I know maybe I'm going in the right direction. Councillor Whittle was going. So last year you were sort of looking for the village to give the grant, and then you kind of create a budget based off of that grant and the expectations of the village. Is that sort of still the same of what you're looking for?
basically, so.
Yeah, because I think there was a few issues around like accounts and stuff, if I remember, Ms. McNair. There was like the way in which the money needs to be spent, it's gotta be in its own account or something.
Most things had already been arranged was the problem.
Okay, that was the other issue, okay.
Yeah, that was things are kind of, that's why we kind of said, okay, maybe we'll sit back, because things are
Yeah.
kind of already on their way, and there wasn't much input from us needed, besides just kind of taking the baton.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we.
I think the other thing too, you know, I can't speak for this council, but I can speak for last year's council. I know that one of the big pushers for us for bringing in a third party is, as a third party, you are able to do things like charge pad rents for food trucks and stuff where we as a municipality are not able to. And so that would sort of help recuperate some of those costs. Is that something you'll be looking at as well?
Potentially, I mean, we've discussed that. I mean, maybe in the long term, but as a new thing coming through, we looked at maybe, you know, exempting that maybe this year for some food trucks. We're not exactly certain. Just to get the new ball rolling and get everybody on board, and hopefully, you know, it builds it for next year.
And then once you have those connections, we can kind of grow and continue on with them once you show that it could be such an event, right?
Okay.
Kind of to prove the success of the event sometimes to people, because some people are a little reluctant to put up their money, you know, and it's also, you know, weather-based too, right?
Yeah. Councillor Rabel?
So, although I trust that you've worked together and have worked with other organizations in the past, what I'm wondering is, would somebody be the point person for specific events, or would you share the burden together and share the budget together? Who would be the specific organization?
Well, it'd probably go through my society, the Dare to Dream Society.
As the umbrella for this.
As the umbrella.
Okay.
And then we'd have part of our budget that we would propose, a portion of that would be going to the tournament to do trophies and prizes and to put on the tournament. As far as everything else, you have to do through my society.
Try and keep it as simple as possible,
Yeah.
direct as possible, right?
That's what that's basically what I'm thinking if we're to issue.
Yeah, we don't want to complex
No,
things.
just be through me, and then we'll work on the rest. Yeah.
One organization.
Yeah.
Okay, Councillor Whittle?
Okay, so my brain had jump started. I remember where I was going with this. So last year we ran into this issue is timeline, right? For getting bouncy castles, getting vendors and that kind of stuff set up. So now, especially that we're coming a year out of COVID now, and you know, a lot of stuff was still on hold last year. We're gonna have, I'd imagine we'd probably have a little more competition this year for getting that stuff. And I know last year we were behind the eight ball.
I've already been on the phone to Fort St. John's, really bringing them in.
So when, just to give staff, you know, just so we can kind of, you know, work with our staff and work with you guys, what timeline would you guys be looking at for us to say, have a decision made and have some stuff?
Well, by the very latest, your next council meeting.
So we're looking at the next.
We gotta have time to, you know, properly prepare.
Like I
Well,
said,
thank you,
things
guys.
are going both directions really, really quickly. In
Yeah.
Grand Prairie, you know, Fort St. John.
And would that give you guys enough time to put a proposed budget together to present to your staff that they can bring back to council?
Yes, but the question for me is, will we have conversations in the meantime to make that happen? Like, because we need to know what you guys would like. What would you like to see? You know, like
Yeah.
we can come up with this big idea and then you go, well, that's not what we want. For
Yeah.
example, right? So we need a bit of a baseline from I would love to see what you'd like to see, right? Like this is Pooh Scoopies Canada Day.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we're the non-profit putting it on, but it's always Pooh Scoopies Canada Day. Dawson doesn't do it because Pooh Scoopy, or Canada Day is Pooh Scoopies Day, right?
Yeah. My understanding of conversations I had with the CAO, we would roughly create a list of things that happened last year and then present that to the Dare to a Dream, and then you would kind of configure it from there, and then that would give them a rough idea of what we're looking for. Prior to presenting that to them, it would then go through our email chain, and then it would be presented probably through that means. I just wanted to also make a note, sorry, Councillor Rowe, was that just a reminder to council as well, talking about moving it to the school, one of the other things that we have done is with our disc golf. We did team up with them last year, and they are looking to extend it to an 18-hole disc golf, so that was another reason why we actually held it down there, because we did partner with the disc golf guys last year, so just keep that in mind as well when you're thinking about these things. Councillor Rebel.
So what I've heard, what I have in my own personal opinion, but what I've also heard from community members is events for all ages, right? Things for young kids and families to do together, family friendly, right, on one end. Then things for young adults, and then things for, seniors, right? Kind of that spread so that it has a representation of the whole community. I'd say that's probably one of the main things I've heard in the past is that accessibility for a variety of users at a variety of ages. And I've seen that before in other events that you guys have hosted.
What would you consider adult?
Beer garden.
That's what I thought you were getting at.
Music, beer garden.
However, we're lucky this year it's a Saturday. Something like that could take place. However, I don't know. I don't know if the nighttime Canada Day is a big seller.
Yeah.
I think everybody's done it for like 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock tops. We're looking at maybe doing a movie as well, but this is further discussions. There's also the fireworks and there's little details like that. If you want us to take care of that, if that's on top of the budget, and who's taking care of that? Are we taking care of that? Are you guys taking care of that? Because I have ideas for that, and I have a different location as well. So these are the things we got to hash out, right?
Okay. All right, are there any other questions at this time? No? Okay,
How do you proceed with, do we nominate this organization to host
so we
it?
can't do anything while the delegation is present. Once the delegation has ended, you may make a motion for staff to begin working with the Dare to Dream Society.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll get out of here then.
Yeah. Hint. No, I'm just kidding. All right, well, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming, and you will most likely be hearing from somebody very soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.
Alrighty. So, council have anything they'd like to add? Now is the delegation has ended. Councilor Revel.
I make a motion to direct staff to engage with Jeremy Linklater of the Dare to Dream Society and TJ Misey of Iron Wolf Athletics in regards to them hosting Canada Day events within the village of Pooskoopi for 2023.
Can I get a seconder? Councilor Wall, thank you very much. All those in favor?
One second, I just want to offer a friendly amendment that we also include council in that discussion process, like via our email chains. Because I don't think it's something we all have to, I think it's something we can easily handle over email.
With the amendment.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the entire motion. Let's all fingers crossed I can remember it. All those in favor of staff working with TJ Misey of Iron Wolf and Jeremy Linklater of the Dare to Dream Society, along with council, to begin works of having them host Canada Day with the village of Pooskoopi. All those in favor? Did I say that wrong? You guys are killing me here. Somebody say.
Just a seconder for the amendment.
Oh yes, seconder for the amendment, Councilor Johnston. All those in favor?
There you go.
There we go.
We're getting this figured.
That was a mouthful. Yes.
May I call Mrs. Stokes?
Oh yes, please call Mrs. Stokes. Thank you very much. Alrighty.
Those two applications combined? No.
So they called me yesterday and told me that they were going to team up together.
Oh yeah, I was looking for the thing just, very well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
8.1 is the support thing.
Giving you her long distance number? I don't know.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, you can hear us, we can hear you, we're all good. Hello, Mrs. Stokes. Alrighty, we're moving on to item number 9, new business, 9.1.
No, 8.1.
Yeah,
8.1.
Oh, unfinished business and a business arising from the minutes. Thank you, I must have scrolled right past that. 8.1 recommendation that,
Recommend the council approves the updated letter of support for TJ Misey of Iron Wolf Athletics.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Woodall. Thank you very much. Discussion? None? Okay, all those in favor? Wait, are you voting in favor or you have a question?
I'm voting in favor.
Okay, perfect. All those in?
You had fun. You gave time for discussion.
Unanimous and carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Item number 9, new business. 9.1 recommendation.
That council approved the amended policy 1.27, clothing reimbursement. I changed to reflect the current union agreement around boot allowance.
Seconder, Councillor Wall. Thank you very much. Discussion? Discussion?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Rebel.
Oh, jeez. It's public now, the collective agreement.
To a point, you kind of have to be careful what you,
Dollar amount. I'm getting a dollar amount.
the dollar amount for the boot allowance. That should be acceptable, right, Miss Sandy Stokes?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Councillor Rabble is just wondering if, with the union agreement, now as we're talking about it here on the clothing reimbursement, if you could ask for a number amount. That should be acceptable, hey, in the public?
We can tell you what the number is. The reason we didn't put a number in the policy was so we didn't have to keep changing it.
Oh, okay.
So the current amount, I believe we upped it to $250 off the top of my head. I don't have it with me. Trina, do you remember?
Yeah.
And $250 every 2 years, or every year, or $500 every 2 years.
Okay. Can we get the thing turned up a little? She's lower than normal. Hang on, I'm just having you turned up. Can you sing the ABCs again?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
A little bit more. Sing the ABCs again. Continue.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
And again?
No.
There we go.
Now we can hear you.
There we go. Okay, Councillor Rapp.
I now, well, I've read it before, but rereading it in accordance with the current collective agreement makes sense in this context because as time to time, as the collective agreement is amended, this would reflect the change. So there's no purpose in having two amounts in two spots. It's in reference to the main amount, which changes in the agreement. So I understand and I rescind my original question.
Okay, awesome. Alrighty, any other questions? None. All right, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 9.2, recommendation. Nobody? All right, the council receives this report for information and discussion. And then, yeah, that's it.
This report is why we did it.
I was like, what in the? Okay. So this is in regards to the delegation language. So it was discovered that there were 3 different types of language in regard to delegations. And so, oh, thank you. Councillor Woodall seconds that. Sorry, guys. And so that is why we brought this forward. So I made a little note for myself because I realized it didn't say. So I said, as you can see, the language within these 3 documents is at this time conflicting. So for clarification, I've asked the staff to bring this forward so that we may set out a clear language going forward. I would like to recommend that to council that we continue going forward with number 18.1 delegation as outlined in the council procedure bylaw 10/21/2020. So moving to discussion. Councillor Rebel.
I would like to discuss the matter that council procedure bylaw 10/21 is what binds council, and then that the policy on delegations is in regards to council, but also pertains to delegations being no more than 15 minutes in length, and that a motion can be passed to extend a delegation, which is in line with the bylaw, and that simply the delegation form on page 33 does not bind council, but is simply information for delegations, and that I would recommend that the 5-minute question period potentially be struck from the delegation form. I feel that the delegation form does not represent the provisions contained within the council procedure bylaw 10/21.
So are you putting forward a motion?
So it's motion on the, no, because we're
No,
in a
you
motion.
just made a recommendation. So what's your motion?
No, but we're in a motion discussing it.
But
To adopt. Oh,
my
right.
question to you, are you motioning to change the language that is on the
I
the
would-
delegation request form? That's what I am asking you. Are you, yes, Councillor Rattle.
I make a motion to staff to strike from the delegation to council form on page 33, to strike the 5-minute question period, and that the maximum presentation time remain 15 minutes in line with the council procedure bylaw 1021, and that essentially question period is at the discretion of the member presiding as according to our procedure bylaw.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Woodall, thank you very much. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor of staff making the change to the delegation form to the public that reflects the delegation bylaw 1020? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much.
I also have a motion.
Yes.
I have a motion that on our policy 8.7 delegations, that number 5, no delegation shall be more than 15 minutes in length, be changed to no delegation presentation shall be more than 15 minutes in length, unless approved by
Okay.
council.
So you would like to add the word presentation in there?
Yeah, unless it's approved by a council vote to extend.
Okay. All those in favor of making
I'll second it.
Okay, that's been seconded by Councillor Johnston. Ms. Stokes, making a change to that bylaw, are we gonna need to?
No, you're changing the delegation, you're changing the policy, not the delegation.
Oh, okay, thank you, just double checking that, thank you very much. Okay, so now we're into discussion. Do you have a remark to that, Councillor Whittle?
Nope, just confirming that this is policy, not bylaw, because policy, then staff can make that change. Bylaw is a bunch more.
Oh, your brain was going to say place of mine.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
We're on
All
the
right.
same.
All those in favor of adding the word presentation into the policy?
Discussion.
Oh, yes, sorry.
I don't mean to get into the weeds with semantics, but delegation refers to a group of people approaching council and not council itself. So the clarification would just be around that the delegation presentation, so it's the addition of presentation to group, have more specificity in regards to the delegation in the relationship to council. I'm just trying to figure this out.
No idea what you just said. I'm sorry.
Mayor B, I just wanted to caution all of council that if you let a delegation go indefinitely, your meetings will go very long.
So it sounds like they're just making it more focused on their presentation is 15 minutes.
But how are you going to limit the question period?
My understanding is that they would like to follow the bylaw 1021, which doesn't list a time for the question period. It just says that the 15 minutes unless a longer period is agreed to by the unanimous vote of those members present. In the current bylaw, 18.1, there is no time frame for question, and so that's what they've moved, is that they would like the delegation request form to show that there would be no time limit on question periods.
Okay.
Councillor Rattle.
I would recommend an amendment to the motion on the floor in regards to the bylaw that instead.
No, we're not doing the bylaw.
No. I'm getting at that the motion on the floor in regards to the amendment to the policy not use the word presentation, but use the word address in reference to 18.1. Each address must be limited to 15 minutes unless a longer period is agreed by a unanimous vote of those members present. I therefore would recommend an amendment instead of presentation to address. Delegation address shall be no longer.
Sorry about that, everybody.
No worries. Can I get a seconder on Councillor Rattle's motion for address rather than presentation?
Amendment to the motion.
Amendment to the motion to make it address, so it's the same as 18.1. Can I get a seconder?
I'll do it.
Okay, Councillor Wong, I was fighting on who was going to make it. Okay, perfect. All those in favor of changing, discussion? Okay, all those in favor of changing the language in the policy to say address to council instead of presentation? Is that not what you said?
No delegation address shall be more than 15 minutes in length.
Yes, so changing it from
Yeah, adding address.
in the policy, adding the words address to the policy. All those in favor? Are you
Still pass.
okay?
I'll do it too.
Okay, unanimous and carried, thank you.
I was thinking.
I know.
My cogs were turning on the semantics.
Trying to say it very slowly, sorry. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Moving on to 9.3 recommendation.
The council received the 2023 to 2027 financial plan for information and discussion.
Okay, can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you. Just a note to council that, that we are just receiving this for information and for discussion. But if council would like, we could always motion to do a budget workshop for any of those that there's any confusion or anything. That is an option, so if anybody would like to make that motion at any time. Councillor Wall.
I would like to do a budget workshop.
Okay,
As I have not dealt with the municipal budget before, I think it would be beneficial to the council as a whole and the municipality if we had more, if I personally could have more experienced eyes looking at it, as I haven't had to deal with it before.
can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Woodall. Okay, and all those in favor of the motion to hold a budget workshop? Unanimous and carried. Okay, so while we are still on the original motion of council receiving the 2023-2027 financial plan for information.
Oh. Whatever.
It needs to be soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very soon. Okay. Would anybody like to present? I think
That's why I'm here.
Mr. McPhail was gonna do a presentation. Would you like to sit there? Or are you gonna stand at the beautiful podium?
Which would you prefer, your worship?
I'm fine there. Is everybody fine with them chilling there?
Yeah.
Okay, alrighty.
Okay, so, when we, Trina and I developed this, budget, we just used the, information that we had and, with the, set staffing. So, so in revenue, you're looking at just over, in this, forecast, you're looking at about, just over $3 million, of which is an increase of $40,000, or approximately $40,000 in property taxes. That was done in last year's budget as a set, so that just followed through in that budget. In the sales of services, that's up about, so I've got that over about 105 over last year's, and that's due to putting the solid waste fees up.
Excuse me, sorry, Mr. McPhail. Which page are you reading up? Just so we're all on
Schedule A.
Schedule A, thank you very much.
That's right.
38, page 38.
Page 38. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
No,
On
it's
the
my
wrong
fault.
page.
My fault. So, there's an increase of about 105,000 over the previous year. That's reflects the increases that the village made for the utilities for water and sewer last year. And the other amount is to reflects the increase for solid waste fees. We've had to, we're recommending that increases to about $26 a month or 52 bi-monthly to reflect with the going to the new contract with the garbage or the waste services. That puts it at a cost recovery basis. So that's why that fees increased that much. Government transfers have decreased about $85,000. That's mainly due to we're seeing the impact of not budgeting for the regional district money, so we used to get for the museum and the library, and there's a slight increase from the Peace River Agreement this year, and there's also a decrease in my mind on hold. I'm not used to working all day. Sorry. there's an increase a little bit in protective services and then a decrease in the regional service grant. So that works out to be about a forecast of about just over $2 million. Now, of that $3 million, about $1 million is for your capital, and then there's $2 million for operating. So the way the operating your revenue for your capital works is it's from your PRA, Peace River Agreement, which is just over $1 million. About 75% of that should go to your capital per your policy and per the wishes of the provincial government. And there is a small amount as well for the gas tax revenues, which is about $85,000 a year. So, in your operating expenditures this year, you're looking at just under 2.7 million. Of that portion, yeah, James?
Mr. McPhail, is that provincial, what the provincial government wants, that this document here?
That's the agreement that was made, yes.
Okay. I was just confirming what you were referring to, sorry.
Yeah. The, of the total operating expenditures, you're looking at about just under 2.7 million. Of that, just over $1 million is wages. And then contracted professional services, just over 800,000. Those are probably the areas that you have the most discretion to pay for. In the contracted services, that includes things such as your bylaw contract. It includes your contracts with for the library and for the museum. So and hence why we came up with the decision to present this to council as it should be done, which shows a deficit right now of $660,000. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe, to the best of my knowledge, there was an error on last year's property taxes where we accidentally increased the taxes this year 5% more. Does that $600,000 equate to the difference in?
No.
No, because this year
Because
we
you've
won't be
already-
increasing the taxes because of that, right?
Because you've already, so the way that worked is that everybody got a credit on their property tax from last year. So everybody's got a credit on their account. So say if you paid an extra $50 or $100, then you should have been charged that one as a credit to your account. So this year, if your taxes are $1,000, you only have to pay $900.
I'm just curious if that's where the deficit's coming from, because we're getting less this year than we expected on the tax.
No. You're looking at, say, when I was here 8 years ago, you were looking at wages of, say, 500,000, 600,000. And now this year you're forecasting about $1 million, and you haven't increased your fees enough to cover your wages. You've increased your service levels so much. Basically what's happened is you've taken money out of your Peace River Agreement to pay, so you haven't had to increase property taxes. So you have a decision you have a decision to either decrease service levels and find efficiencies and or raise taxes. That's the point. You don't have to do it in a 1 year shot, obviously, but it is something that you have to do. Last year's budget, I'm going by memory, but it was like 1.2 million accessing reserves. Usually when you access reserves, they're for a contingency, like your lagoon, for example. But you wouldn't want to do them as a day-to-day operation, obviously, because we're not the federal or provincial government. We can't print money. And by legislation, you have to give a balanced budget. So the budget as presented, you could access reserves to pay for it. That would not be something I would recommend at all, because it's not sustainable. There's cuts that you can make, but you'll be offside on the Peace River Agreement. That isn't uncommon. You have been using the Peace River Agreement for operating services, which goes against what the ministry wants, or as said public, or not publicly, but to administrators, it goes against your policy. So it is something that you don't have to do today, but it is certainly something that I would recommend that you have to deal with. Yes, James.
Offhand, if you have the numbers, how much of a tax increase would be required to offset this potential deficit?
Stupidly, I didn't have that prepared tonight. But you would at least double your taxes. Whatever you double your tax rate as it is right now. So if it's $2.50, it would be $5.
So we'd have to double our taxes.
To pay, well, you'd have to run it 1.5 times.
Yeah, 1.5.
So we're going up, our taxes would increase 150%. They'd be 250%.
And you're already this year, you're already increasing 100,000 from your residents already through increased fees for your, for solid waste and from utilities, and then also. Now, after saying this, when we get to the workshop, we can, together with Trina and Sandy, we can come up with suggestions and scenarios what we can do to lessen the pain. I put this out, for example, this year we put in transfers to reserves of about $176,000. That's one area you can cut right away. You're offside of the Peace River Agreement again, but there is things that you can move around. And there is strategies that you can do in the past, say in protective services, say when you're purchasing equipment, you're purchasing protective gear, which is say $3,000 per gear, per item. If you buy 6 at a time, that's $18,000. You can declare that as a capital item. If you buy 1 at a time, it goes under.
It goes under.
So those are things that you do. And yes, but it is important, I think, for one of the reasons I put this out is just in previous years, council wasn't aware, it wasn't obvious unless you knew the way the budget was presented that the capital budget was offside because it was under special functions and capital. So that's one of the reasons, along with the new software, that it's done this way. So every year, if your Peace River Agreement is $1 million and you get a conditional grant from gas tax, that's what your capital is going to be. With your capital budget as well, that can also be monies put towards reserves as well.
Councilor Rattle?
Mr. McPhail, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard something in there about the Peace River Regional District in regards to the library and the museum?
You used to get $73,000. Well, in 2020 or 2021, it was $73,000 to help with the museum and the library. In 2022, that stopped. In agreement with the village, it was between. What's a good way of putting it? It was between CAOs and there was a transition, so there wasn't. People weren't aware of the impact that this agreement was going to make because 73,000 or say 80,000 from a requisition from the regional district, that's 20% of your tax.
Yeah.
And so it does have a big impact. So that's over time you've spent it on the operating rather than capital, which in the long term is frowned upon by the ministry. I'll repeat again.
Councilor Wall?
So with where all of our money is going, it seems like we're in a bit of a pickle. But are we in compliance with what the provincial government is trying to mandate with us, or are we?
That's what I'm saying. This budget, you are right now, but you got a deficit of $660,000. Now, what I'm suggesting and what I put in the report is that you do it over a 3 to 5 period, that you increase your fees or increase your revenues and decrease your operating costs. There's angles you can do. It won't be without pain, but that's what has to be done. And if you notice in the capital budgeting too, I'd recommend too, when I look at asset management's become a very important thing in the municipal world, and it's an area that needs to be worked on in the finance with the new finance officer and stuff. You're lucky you're small, you can do it. It won't be a huge job in the town. I'd have to see what you've got and you're in what Urban Systems is developing their asset plan. But and that would give you meat on the table too. The advantage if you have a good asset management plan is you can write for grants a lot easier. You're lucky, you're actually, where we are very lucky, is that you've got 6 million in the bank. You've got lots of reserves. So it isn't like you won't meet your bills. There's lots of reserves to help you, to help the village go through it.
But I think the issue is if you keep taking from that, the interest and return on it is less and less every year.
Well, say for example, last year, if you accessed 1.2 million every year, you got 5 years. Mm-hmm. That's simply not sustainable. And even there are things you can cut quickly on that $660,000. But say for example, the transfer to reserves was a council directive. As I understood, or I understand, I haven't seen the written policies, so that's why it's there. If you remove it, you can remove it, but then you're offside with the Peace River Agreement.
What happens if we're offside with the Peace River Agreement?
In the long term, what you're worried about in the long term is that the ministry there's a big debate, and it depends who you side with. There's always the fear in the municipalities up here that they'll remove it. Goodbye. So if you give them a reason to remove it, they may do that. So they've approved that policy or the long-term development plan that you can't spend 25% of that money and put it to operating, but they want to see 75% of that grant go to capital.
So with this proposed plan that you have, if I understand correctly, you're saying, with the way you're presenting it to us tonight, that we can kind of correct this, pickle that we find ourselves in, due to, now that we've updated some systems, there's been some regulation changes, and kind of looking at everything with fresh eyes over the next 3 to 5 years, we can look at correcting this so that going forward, we're looking at basically a tax increase over the next 5 years. And in order to fix this, or the alternative is we continue operating in a deficit in 6 years' time, Puskuku doesn't exist. Is basically
well,
simplified version.
Simplified. I don't think it would go that way. I think the ministry would get involved if you did do that. The reality, you have 2 options. You reduce your operating expenses or increase your revenues. It's that simple. And it isn't like, the next thing too is it isn't that you have been, it isn't just this budget. This is the budget, you know about it, except with the new fresh of eyes, I've come in and said, hey, you guys are offside in the budget. And I say, in my professional judgment, I want to notify you that you're offside. So that's why I bring it forward to you. And you can work on it. But you've been offside probably for the last 5, 6 years. I don't know. I haven't taken a look to see how much it is, but I'll guarantee you are. So it's not, this isn't anything new, but it is something you're offside on. And if you want to keep the Peace River, the rest of the province would die for $1 million in found money or missed money. There's so many municipalities go, how do you guys get that? They don't recognize the money this area brings in, fair enough, but municipalities all over the province are just jealous, especially small. And if you look at it, so if you look, without the $1 million, we would be at 2 million. You'd have budgets that you'd need of $1 million, and you'd be so it's inherent on council and administration to manage correctly. So if in the long term the PRA monies don't exist, at least you can exist through the operating, and you can then look at it.
Councilor Rowe?
So just last one for me, I guess. So basically what we've got to look at and keep in mind over the next, 3.5, 4 years of our terms is that you need to look at correcting this and looking at making the village better, I guess more sustainable, and kind of trimming here and there where we can without causing too much.
And different strategies, and yes, it's going to be a mix. It's not going to be one option. And it's, the other things that we have to realize, say if the budget last year that we set for legal was $100,000. Again, that's 25% of last year's property taxes. In a year, you should, I'm not against legal fees at all. I think it's important for bylaw reviews to make sure you're on side, but it's a lot of money. Just so everybody who paid their taxes last year, 25 cents of every dollar went to paying their legal fees, if you want to look at it that way. A quarter. So it's just, and one of the advantages of being a contractor too is I can say these things. That I think if I was an employee, that I wouldn't. So I think that's, I think it's really important that, when we there's going to be some pain. I think it's very doable. And there is some ironies too in this that I can't remember the exact amount. I'm going by memory, but right now there's in the gas tax there's about $85,000 to $90,000 you get for gas tax. It's a federal grant that you get for infrastructure. Right now there's about $900,000 that you've got for capital that should be spent quickly. So it's all this stuff that should be done. And it's going to be very tough. Even, if you're increasing the fees this year that's a lot again, compared to last year, you're getting 20 to 25% more from your residents this year than you did the previous year.
But it's all going to water, sewer, and waste.
A large portion of it. And again, that's another strategy. You can maybe talk to Dawson Creek of that increase that you received. That I think one of the reasons why the increase was done in the way they did it was to help fund the capital. When I was CAO, when I negotiated the deal where you would get the same fees as the residents in Dawson Creek, and then there would be a connection fee. That was, it was a great deal for Poos, because Poos at that time was on for 6% of the capital expenditures for water in Dawson Creek, and that could be as much as $40, $50 million. So there's, and the water's been a bone of contention in Poos probably for 60 years. And it still is.
Yeah.
It still is. And when the story I'll give to you when Dawson Creek started supplying water to Poos, the mayor at the time of Poos wanted Poos to have its own water supply.
Its own transfer station.
Its own water.
Water station.
And the minister in the government at the time, who was second in charge of the province, Don Phillips, no, you're going to piggyback with Dawson Creek, and that's the way it's going to be. So this dealing with Dawson Creek with the water supply, again, it's probably 45, 50 years. So, and it's always been a bone of contention, and it still is. So, and trying to, if you ever decided to go on your own, with the cost, with trying to get because you do have to deal, and I'm gonna forget what level 1, I think it's level 1, I can never remember which way it goes. But you have to have the highest operator in the province because you've got E. coli, you've got surface water. So when you do that, and trying to get an operator with a level 1, not a chance. Because you'll never get it here because you only get 25% of your time on water.
So with us doing the budget workshop, it'll definitely give us an opportunity to speak more with Mr. McPhail and really kind of start asking those questions and searching around. And so, are you completed your presentation, Mr. McPhail?
I think I've talked to wasn't it?
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Yes, Councilor Rebel?
Mr. McPhail, when you mentioned being offside, what is that in regards to? Existing agreements, legislation compliance?
Say, for example, the Peace River Agreement, what I said, you're offside on that. Why I didn't say that you were illegal on it, or it's because it isn't. There's some grants like your gas tax monies that are like, if you like, for trust. It's basically like you buy a house and your monies go from the lawyer to the bank. So you get these monies and on a conditional grant, they have to be used for this part. The Peace River Agreement is a different, it's not conditional, it's unconditional. But you signed on to this policy, they really say, this is what you want, we want you to use it for.
Mm-hmm. Money in the background versus money in the bank kind of thing, right?
I don't know if I'd phrase it that way. It's just that we've got a little more leeway, but the ministry's not too happy with us.
Okay.
Councilor Wall?
Would it be appropriate for us to have our workshop date decided outside of the meeting? I've forgotten my little day planner with my schedule on it, so.
Yeah, we could probably figure that out over email. Ms. Stokes, would that be okay if we figured the date out at a later time?
If you could let me know ASAP which days you're available, Councilor Wall, that would be great. If we could do this workshop sometime in March, that would be better, because we have a limited time to get the budget done. I was thinking either March. Mr. McPhail figures it'll be about a 6-hour workshop.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're thinking maybe on a Saturday.
I work
or
every Saturday
at night. So some of the days I've come up with are March 25th, 28th, or 29th so far.
Just a question.
Councilor Woodall has a question.
And I might just be overcomplicating stuff because I tend to do that. Majority of council, I think, if not all of us, are heading to Prince George in the next 2 weeks. And
15th, 16th, 17th, we're all
I
ready.
do believe that Mr. McPhail has a residence close to that area. Would it be more convenient if, we took an evening while I know we're out of town at the conference, but would it be more convenient while we're down at the conference to maybe look at getting some space to meet up with Mr. McPhail down there?
I would have to look into that when I get back, other than extending our trip and maybe coming home on the 19th.
I know, and it sounds like Councilor Wall says he works every Saturday.
I am off on the 18th.
Oh, snap, he is off on the 18th.
Because I wasn't sure, that's the only,
We could try, okay, we're finished at noon on the 17th. But I would have to try to extend all the hotel stays.
Well, it's something I think we can discuss over email, and
Okay.
I was just putting it out there as an idea, right?
We could all crash on Mr. McPhail's couch.
I will look into it as soon as I'm back next week.
Okay.
You have to talk to my daughter, it's her place.
If not, do any of those other dates work, the 25th, 28th, or 29th?
The 25th is the only one that would work for me. The 28th to April 2nd, I'm off to Montreal.
The
So I'm not
25th works for me as well.
25th would work for me.
It worked for me.
Councilor Johnston's looking at his phone.
Yeah, I
I know it doesn't
have
work.
anything booked there.
It's Saturday, eh?
Got it for sure.
So we're looking at either the 25th or the 18th.
Or possibly the 17th. In the evening.
In the evening. Okay, okay, I will make a note of that, and I will look into it either tomorrow or, well, not tomorrow, Friday, or when I get back next week.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, perfect. Alrighty, are we good for questions? We're gonna move on. We have the motion on the floor for, figuring out the workshop, so we'll definitely get that done, Mr. McPhail.
I just want to thank Sandy and Trina for their hard work.
Yes.
I think it's really important that this isn't an easy thing to give council. And I give Sandy and Trina credit for when I presented, or when we came up, Trina and I came up with the numbers, we said, this is something we need to present and why it's done, and I think it's the best way to get change.
Okay. Well, yes, thank you so much, both of you, all three of you, all of you, really. Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor Beach,
Yes, Ms. Stokes?
something just occurred to me, that we can't do it on the 17th in Prince George because our interim CFO won't be there. And she needs to be present for this.
She looks absolutely devastated that she's at the possible chance of missing this. You have no idea. Tears in her eyes.
And we can't do it the 28th or 29th because she's on holidays.
Could Ms. McNair possibly join us via Zoom?
I could do Zoom.
Zoom.
She could do
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah, I guess we could do it that way too. Okay, I'll explore these options.
Okay, Councilor Wall?
I just want to make a comment that I would feel awful if I was the one to make this motion and be the only one that can't attend. So, I apologize for that, if that's the way it goes.
You're not held down to these motions. It's okay.
We will figure something out, don't
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah, it'll get figured. Alrighty. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 10, correspondence. Does anybody see anything?
Did we do that?
We should do 10.1.
We should do 10.1. Oh, yes.
The council received a letter from the Catholic Social Services Society requesting a support letter for discussion. And if council does support the letter, this letter, they provide the following motion. Motion being that the Corporation of the Village of Goose Goofy supports the application to the Northern Development Initiative Trust Fund from the Dawson Creek Catholic Social Services Society for the Caring Connections Counseling Services Project.
Wonderful. Councilor Johnson, can you just read the first part again?
The council receives the letter from the Catholic Social Services Society requesting a support letter for discussion.
Can I get a seconder on that part? Councilor Walbeach to it. Okay. Any questions in regard to this letter? None? It has been supported. So, who would like to make the second recommendation? Councilor Wall.
A motion that council, or the Corporation of Village of Goose Goofy support the application to Northern Development Initiative Trust from the Dawson Creek Catholic Social Services Society for Caring Connections and Counseling Services Project, and that we support that letter.
Can I get a seconder? Councilor Woodall, thank you very much. All those in favor? Oh, discussion? I'm so sorry.
Well, because it's in this.
Yes.
Okay, so in regards to this, are we just acting as a conduit between the Catholic Social Services Society and NDIT as a part of the grant application? And what kind of costs may be borne by this?
Ms. Stokes, I'm going to refer to you on that one.
There's absolutely no cost borne by the village. This is completely just a letter of support that the Catholic Services is requesting, and they've been sending it out to everybody. So basically, all our letter of support will say is that the Corporation of the Village to be supports the application, yada, yada, yada. That's what they've asked for.
No, I understand.
Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Any other? Councillor Woodall?
Yeah, I'd like to lift 10.7 recommendations.
Oh, I'm jumping over top of you because I got 10.3.
Okay, you got 10.3.
Do that
Does
one.
anybody have 10.2? Did I talk about that? No? We're all good?
Council received strategic plan
With all
for,
due respect, in order, please.
Oh, yes, see? So read your motion there, Councillor Wolf.
the motion that council receives the strategic plan 2023 BC Road Builders for information.
Thank you. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Okay, 10.3, the council receives the letter from the BC Ombudsperson as information. I would just like to add, I completed their fairness, what is this called? Fairness 101, an introduction to administrative fairness in the public sector. They have a lot of really great online, like 1 hour courses on there that are really great for elected officials. So I just wanted to let you guys know, I checked them out. There's a couple on there that I thought were really cool. So that would be, where was it? Yes, the letter from the ombudsperson, and then they've listed their public training team and their Fairness 101 course and their educational webinars are down there at the very bottom in the,
Good stuff.
I don't know, looks like this.
Oh,
Councillor
yeah,
Wall.
it's over
I would like to note that I was actually going to bring up one of their seminars, but it's happening at the same time we're Bruce Short.
I know, so many things are happening when we're from Short. No, I did a list is endless. Hopefully it will happen again, note it, and if it ever comes up again, let us know. Okay. Anybody have any other recommendations before recommendation template time? Councillor Rebel.
So in regards to this, they're free of charge and accessible to us?
Yeah, they're totally free. So, and they're short and quick, and I was like, 1 hour, perfect, I can get that thing done.
Recommendation that council, or no, I put a motion that we receive a letter from the Forest Enhancement Society of British Columbia as information.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. All right, okay. You know what? There you go, Councillor. Will you do your thing?
Alright, make a recommendation that we lift 10.7. The council receives the Moose Hide campaign poster as information.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall. Okay, and discussion.
So, just want to make a statement of this. So, registration's now live for the Moose Hide campaign day. Since 2011, the Moose Hide campaign has been a reconciliation movement calling upon the Canadians to stand together to end violence against women and children. Last year, over 400,000 people registered to join the virtual movement for the Moose Hide campaign days, showcasing the many communities and individuals who have taken part to stand together for gender-based violence in Canada. Together we make the change. We are so grateful to help so many Canadians and join us in this day of action. Reconciliation and love. We thank you for the beginning, for being change makers, and would like to invite you to join us. So I just, like anybody that gets the opportunity to check out the Moose Hide campaign. It's a really good campaign, and it's a good grassroots movement.
They also had put on their flyer, you guys can look, some information to download campaign resources and order pins. Councillor Woodall, I don't know if you'd like to make a motion that staff include this information on our website and our village link.
Actually, I would. Actually, I'll make that motion that, I'll make the motion that staff include this information on our social media and web platforms, as well as our village voice, and spread the word.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Councillor Wall, you have a question?
I have a motion.
Oh, there you go.
So, I have been following the Moose Hide campaign, and it's a great effort. But the pins, they're little, they're actually little leather moose hides. Yes, they are so easy to lose. I would like to make a motion because I believe they're free.
Yes, we have some of them.
They're already out there?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're already out there.
Well, then never mind. I have no motion.
I brought in about 60 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are available.
All right, no motion for me. We're good.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So, Councillor Rattle.
I would just like to inquire about 10.6 in the NCLGA resolution submission reminder that's due by March 10th. Are we submitting a resolution to be included in their annual report resolution? I'm just curious about that. We kind of seem to have skipped over that.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Council hasn't directed us on any resolutions to submit, so.
Actually, I'm so glad you brought that up. I wasn't able to open it, and I completely forgot. It keeps telling me I need Adobe Reader. I'm going to be completely honest. That is
Yeah, I couldn't open it either, and I tried to get a username and password, but they didn't give me one.
Yeah, it won't open. Like, we can't
So
access it.
basically what this is if you have a resolution as council that you want to take before UBCM, it has to go through North Central Local Government Association resolution submission process first. And resolutions that are presented at UBCM are done by NCLGA on behalf of the village. Okay, so the last time we presented a resolution was back in 2019, and I'm sorry, but I don't remember what it was about. I can find it for you guys, but
I will add, nothing has come up that would meet the requirements of a resolution for NCLGA at this point. Something may come up in the future, but nothing has come up recently.
yeah, so I can dig up some information when I'm back about it for you. But basically it's a process if you want to bring a resolution forward to UBCM in September. So this is the start. And resolutions are things, somebody help me out.
I know, see, I'm not really good at this either. I was trying to look into it more and, yeah.
I will make a note to send you the resolution that we sent back in, I believe it was 2018 or 2019 that they brought forward a resolution. And I believe it had to do with healthcare in the north.
Councillor Rattle?
What's the usual nature of these resolutions?
Well, my recommendation to you would be to make a motion to have staff bring something forward to us through email.
Okay, I make a motion.
Mayor Beat, I can answer that. Councillor Rabble.
Oh.
The nature of the resolutions are when you want to change something kind of globally in BC.
Oh, okay.
So things like some pertain to tax rates, some pertain to healthcare, some pertain to the Caribou Recovery Project, things like that. When you want to make a big statement and you want to move forward with something, you make a resolution to NCLGA. And if it gets approved at NCLGA, then it gets moved up to UBCM. It's kind of as a step process. I can find some examples for you when I get home.
Councillor Ward?
Or you can Google it. NCLGA resolutions on their website.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wall?
Ms. Stokes, would that be, because something I've been thinking about, I've been doing some research into transit in our area, and
yeah.
we pay carbon tax and we have no alternatives yet. Carbon tax money from us in the north, because we're not large enough urban centers, is going down to Vancouver and it's paying for their buses and transit, even though really we have no option other than to drive with paper cab.
Yep.
So would something like that be what?
To bring in like a better bus service or a better grant pertaining to bus services? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, or to have like the carbon tax money that's spent in a district stay in the district instead of being sent out.
I believe so, but like I said, if you could send me an email reminding me, and then I can look into all of this next week when I get back.
I've also been looking into bus stuff too, by the way.
But I believe, yes, that would be part of their procedures and their fight.
Okay, perfect. All right, Councillor Rattle.
What about a resolution to improve transportation options in northern and rural communities?
I will say that yes, it is one, and I will say that yes, it's been done over and over again, but it never hurts to do it again.
Okay, well, once we get more info about it, we can kind of build the resolution, and then if I'm correct, they would have to bring it forward to council, and then they would vote on the resolution that's being put forward, right?
I would encourage you to go to NCLGA resolutions in past years, and it'll give you an example of what they've brought forward.
Okay. Councillor Whittle?
And yeah, I do believe Tony, I can't remember the councillor's last name offhand, but with the city of Fort St. John, Tony Zerwinski, with the city of Fort St. John is a director for NCLGA. He's one of the directors at large, so he's also on the regional district board. So you should be able to find his information, and you can probably answer some questions. I'll get it for you and get the exact spelling and stuff. I'll email it to you.
Alrighty. Okay. Moving on, doing the old eyeball search. Alrighty. Okay, resolutions none, bylaws none, administration report, CAO report. You're up there, Ms. Stokes.
Well, you have my report there. I'm in snowy Chilliwack right now, so.
Don't worry, it's no better
I
here.
hear it's much nicer up there than it is down here.
Oh wow, I'm surprised.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Well, I'll check it out. It was snowing yesterday and today, so.
To bring my boots.
But I don't have anything else to add to my report other than what's there.
Okay. I'm just reading through your report again for a refresher. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, sorry, Councillor Rabble, I apologize.
How do we need to make a motion in regards to the March 15th meeting being cancelled and then moved?
We already did.
Oh, that was done February 15th?
We've already done the March 15th cancellation, and you guys all agreed to March 27th, so there's no motion. It's just, telling you that it's been rescheduled.
Just cross my T's. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Alrighty, moving on to action items. Ms. Stokes, is this the one that you're asking if you can? Yes, you can remove item 4. I'm going to put it on there. It said training policy for council. She's looked into it. We're setting a precedent, so high five for all of us for kicking butt and taking names, I must say.
Can you put a motion forward to have that removed? Please,
Yes,
Jeremy?
I would like to put forward the motion that staff remove item number 4, training policy of council. As I said, the CAO has looked into it and we're setting a precedent, so we're amazing. So I'd like to have that removed. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you very much. All those in favor?
So discussion.
Oh, discussion.
I'm gonna be that guy now.
I always forget. I'm gonna figure it out eventually.
So out of curiosity, if we're setting a trend or we're we're trailblazing on this, why would we want to cancel it? Why wouldn't we not remove that? Move forward with it as a policy.
Councillor Woodell, there really isn't, sorry, may I speak?
Yes.
Councillor Woodell, there really isn't anything pertaining to a training policy for council. There's a travel policy, there's our policy that states that council is expected to attend UBCM and NCLGA. Those are really our only two. And as the training comes up, it can simply be a motion made by any council member to take training.
Okay.
Okay, we don't really need a policy. Because you never know what training is going to come up, right? So say there's a program that you decide you think council would be interested in, then you would simply make a motion or let me know and I could do a report. But the best way to bring it up would be in your councilor's report and say, I've stumbled upon this program. I think it would be a good idea if all council members took the training, or council and staff, council and whoever, and then you would just go from there.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
Okay, Councillor Wall? No, yep, that's your name, sorry.
Yep, that's me. I'm just noticing on the action items here, we don't have any of the lagoon or capital projects.
That's not an action item. There's nothing to do with the lagoon right now. That would be on capital and special projects when we do the budget.
Okay.
Once we have that, yeah.
I may have misunderstood about it.
No worries.
You gotta call your phone on.
Oh, all those in favor of removing item number 4? Unanimous and carried, thank you. Oh, you men, you lead me through, I'm telling you. Okay, capital and special projects, there are none. Council calendars, we're very busy people in stuff that.
Oh, that's what, like the lagoon.
Yes, that's normally on the, when we're done the budget.
When we're done the budget, that's coming up?
Yes.
So, and just for clarification, right now, the only thing left for the lagoon is the cattail removal, and we will bring it back to the budget.
And that valve thingy we talked about.
And the flow meter valve, so we're getting quotes on that right now. So.
Perfect. Okay. Yes, Councilor Wall.
Is that it for the lagoon and then it's done?
No.
No,
For
that,
this year.
that just completes the work from last year. For the upcoming year, what they're going to do is they have to monitor everything that has been done from last year. So we will bring forward a report for you in the next coming week, outlining what is left to do for this year. And then from my understanding from Urban Systems and the analysts that's monitoring water, for this year it's just an observation to see how the new flow thing works. Sorry, I don't know the name of it.
Yep.
Thing.
We don't have a ton left, just a couple of things, and then we get to have a year where we monitor. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, anybody have anything for councilor calendars? Councilor Rabble? Oh, I didn't say.
I have an update to council. I will be away to Montreal on the end of April, I believe between the 20th of April and about the 23rd or 24th of April, maybe the 25th. I will refine this in the future just to make you guys aware that I won't be here, but obviously I'll still be here for the 19th.
Perfect. Okay, good. Okay, anybody else have anything? Councilor Wall?
I intend to be in Montreal, but no flights have been booked yet, but I intend to be in Montreal the same time period.
Okay. But you could also attend the 19th?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. Let us know once you have your...
We're fine, yeah.
Alrighty. Anybody else, nothing? Okay. Okay, so moving on to councilor reports. So Councilor Johnston, what you been up to?
Oh, well, I know I did a workshop with Urban Systems. Very informative, really good workshop. I'm sure there's more I've done. I've read a lot of emails. A lot of emails.
Did you reach out to Oil and Gas
I
Commission?
did, and I haven't heard back. I'm gonna
No
reach out
luck, eh?
again. I did see something in my mail here I could read tonight.
Okay.
So maybe that's my link I'm looking for.
Okay.
And other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Alrighty. Councilor Rabble?
Okay, this might be a little out of order, but I did attend. Okay, so let's do this one first. So I did go up to Fort Nelson with Northern Lights College in regards to small campus revitalization. But of course, we are served by the Dawson Creek campus, mainly Northern Lights College. However, what I would take away from it in regards to Pouce Coupe is that Fort Nelson is doing an absolutely wonderful job of advocating through their Chamber of Commerce to invest in Fort Nelson. They have a very large recreational facility and they're taking big strides in their process of recovery after quite a little bit of economic stagnation. But anyway, the future is bright for that community, and I think that lessons can be shared between our respective, even though they're a regional municipality and our municipality. Anywho, so that was very valuable. And then I came back, and then that evening on the 16th, I went to attend the South Peace Health Services Society meeting. They are opening the Boltray House in Dawson Creek as their mandate is, or their purpose as a society is to support healthcare workers relocating to the north. But in this purpose for the Boltray House, it's actually to provide temporary, partially long-term accommodation for patients, pregnancies, that kind of stuff, things that don't require you to be in the hospital all the time, but you may need a place to stay, and there are costs associated with that, and then that assists people in the north who may not be able to afford a hotel stay. Anywho, I believe that opening house to be March 9th. So I think that was something you had asked previously of me as to when that is figured out to bring that forward. but more specific details can be brought. Because I may have that date wrong, unfortunately.
If you could let me know for sure.
Yes.
I'd like to
I will
go.
have to do that, and I feel bad not remembering the date accurately
No
because
worries.
I didn't bring the notes. I didn't record them digitally this time. I had them on a piece of paper. And then, yes, attending the urban systems zoning bylaw workshop, very informative in regards to the opportunities that Pooskoopi has and the opportunities for small businesses. And there are a variety of other things. Yeah. So I'd say that's pretty much it. And best of success to all of our community services.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, these are like my 9 million notes. Councillor Wall.
Thank you. So I also was in Port Nelson. I did not go on village business. However, I did have the opportunity to take a bus tour and see some of the industry that they have and some of the new businesses that are coming into town. And it made me very hopeful that Pooskoopi could go in a similar direction that they're going with regards to the grants they're receiving and the businesses that are being attracted to Port Nelson, which is in the middle of nowhere.
I was going to say in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere, and they have things going on. If they can do it, we can do it. I also was able to speak with the executive director for the museum here at Pooskoopi, and I have a copy of their approved budget by their board, so I would like this to be added. I guess I have to make a motion. I'd like to put a motion.
Hang on, wait. I don't know if you're allowed to bring it forward. It might have to be the museum board.
They gave it to me to add it to next agenda.
I would have it.
Oh, you have it?
I know, see, that's why I was like, I think it's the board. They send it in.
Excuse me?
Oh, yes, Ms. Stokes, sorry.
Okay, if the museum is presenting their budget, that should be handed to the CFO.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, well, okay.
Okay.
Well, you totally have it, so that's great.
Everybody has it.
Wonderful job. You're
Everybody
very
has it.
efficient.
It'll be dealt with. It seems like they are looking to get a couple of summer students or summer employees this year, and I'm really looking forward to that. What else was I also had a couple of conversations regarding snow clearing with a couple of residents who had called me. That was on Friday. Regarding snow clearing along the highway. So it appears to me as though the plows have gone down the highway and pushed all the snow onto the sidewalk, and then there were children walking down the highway. So I got a couple of calls about that, and I'm not 100% sure on the direction we could go to make sure that doesn't happen again, but I did get calls from their children that way.
Can I speak?
Yes, you may, Ms. Stokes.
So I spoke to the Director of Public Works when I got your message, Councillor Wall, and the sidewalk has been cleared. What I think has happened is our Public Works team goes out between 7:30 and 8 o'clock to make sure that the sidewalks are cleared for the students and people walking to the school. But what happens is Argo comes along and they do their clearing and then they fling the snow back onto the sidewalk.
That's exactly what I think happened.
Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it. I can put a call into Ministry of Transportation and see if they can either push the snow a little bit later so that they're not blocking, but our Public Works, because we have so few staff, they have a priority route and that's what they stick to, so.
If staff could reach out, I would appreciate that, but I think that needs to be a motion.
Do you need a motion to reach out to the ministry, or
Just make a motion just so it's covered, to have administration reach out to Moni and talk to them about snow removal, and that way we're covered safely.
Okay. I put a motion on the floor to have staff reach out to the Ministry of Transportation regarding snow removal down Highway 2, so that village staff and ministry contractors can work together on.
That's all I need, just
Okay.
a motion.
perfect, can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnson, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried? Okay, you all good?
And that's my report.
Alrighty, Councillor Woodall, you're up.
Alright, so yeah, this last week here, or last couple weeks, again, with everybody else, I attended the Urban Systems Workshop Planning meeting. And it was actually kind of neat because they were showing us some comparisons on what properties look like in Calgary with lot sizes versus Pouce Coupe. And when I was down in Calgary, I actually had an opportunity to stay in one of the typical houses that they showed as an example, and seen that they absolutely have no place to put their snow. There was vehicles parked on the sidewalk that were literally buried in snow because they had no place to put it. So it really emphasized the points that Urban Systems had highlighted for us. So it was kind of neat to actually see a presentation and then actually physically go see it for myself. So yeah, it's one of those things that their lawns are so small they can barely accommodate the snow from their driveway. So that was kind of neat. I also, on the regional district side, we attended budget meetings on the 22nd before the Urban Systems meeting, where it was all-day budget meetings. Then on the 23rd was our committee of the whole meeting for that. And yeah, so I attended both of those before I took off for the weekend. And in part of that budget is the Pouce Coupe Fire Agreement was approved at our open meeting for the regional district. So we have their support for the next 5 years going forward with that program. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got for now.
Alrighty, okay, moving on to me. I actually have a long list, so,
Just to follow up for Council Wall's report, would the budget for the museum, as it's been presented to staff, therefore would it be incorporated into our budget that we're going to have a workshop about? Is that the life cycle of this?
Yeah, it's already in there.
Okay, and then that's how we would approve it?
Yeah.
Would be in the entire budget?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, just clarifying. Thank you.
No worries. So, at the last council meeting on February 15th, we had our delegation with the seniors aging in place, and we actually forgot to put a motion on the floor directing staff to work with them. So, I'm going to do that now, because we totally forgot to. So, if council chooses, I'd like to make a motion to direct administration to start looking into what is involved in setting up the seniors aging in place program here in Pouce Coupe, and that council directs administration to look into grants for funding the cost of the seniors aging in place here in the village. Can I guys, yes?
Can I offer a friendly amendment to that?
Oh, absolutely.
That we also direct staff to work with the regional district because they are advocating and looking into provincial funding for this program as well on a regional district level.
Okay, and that they also work with the Peace River Regional District. Can I get a second? Councilor Wall, thank you. All those in favor? Discussion? I keep forgetting, it's totally me, it isn't you actually. Me 110%. What's up?
No.
Oh!
Well,
it's fine.
You wanted to say discussion, that's it.
Oh, thank you, you're so supportive. Okay, all those in favor?
Well,
Always.
no, it's fine. It's a great program.
Okay.
And I'm expecting that we'll work in conjunction with our other community partners and other local governments. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor? Oh, there we go. Unanimous and carried. Okay, perfect. What I've been up to. Let's get to that fine detail. I attended the local leadership meeting virtually. Here's my portfolio form for it. Yeah, it was a Zoom meeting that happened on February 16th. Lots of the discussion points were working with Blueberry and treaty aid agreements regarding the newly identified protected areas of forestry as of July 2021. They're also working with Blueberry and the treaty aid landholders on natural resource extraction with concerns for water conservation, land conservation, and oil and gas extraction. Natural resource applications were on hold during the court process with Blueberry, but now as that process has been completed, applications have begun being processed again. So that's really nice. They got a bit of a backlog, but they're working pretty steadily through them. And new land use planning and future conversation areas, and they're also looking at different ways of respecting treaties and rights and stuff. So that was that portfolio. I attended the seniors dinner on February 17th. The food was delicious, and actually the room was packed. There's only 2 seats left, and me and my husband took them. It was like shoulder to shoulder. Good food though, I have to say. Honestly delicious. I met with Mayor Dober of Dawson Creek on February 21st to continue growing our communication and partnership. One of the main topics of discussion was Councillor Wall's interest in busing, and the interest of accessibility for Pouce Coupe residents. So also working with Peace River Regional District and Dawson Creek, so if we can all collaborate. So Councillor Wall, I know that this is a passion of yours, so the next official meeting around busing that takes place, I will let you know, and hopefully you'll be able to attend as well.
I will make sure.
Perfect. I did tell him, I was like, next time when it's official, I'm gonna have Councillor Wall
I get
here.
some notice to give work or something, but I will be at
Yeah.
the bus thing.
Perfect. And then I held a zoning meeting with Urban Systems to go over concerns regarding the draft zoning bylaw on February 22nd. And then for the past 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, I attended the Indigenous Resource Forum virtually, where a lot of the conversation was around government partnerships with Indigenous groups and leaders. And Councillor Rabble, you were in that
I
as well.
totally forgot to mention that, yes.
And the amazing hard work of the Indigenous peoples to fight for not only their own land rights, but also to work at putting protections in place for the land and natural resources in this area and down south. And a lot of what they had talked about reminded me of the efforts that we've witnessed close to home when it comes to Blueberry First Nations and Mobley First Nations. I was actually making a lot of connections there, so that was really interesting, because it was really Coast Salish focused, but yet a lot of the things that they're trying to put in place down there and trying to keep protected, the same things are actually happening here with Blueberry and Mobley, so I thought that was really interesting. And then again, as I said, I completed the introduction to fairness in the public sector course provided by the BC Ombudsperson. And with that note, I would also like to remind the few of you that have not yet completed your conflict resolution training. Oh,
Do we submit that?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Please submit it if you have completed it. If you haven't completed it, if you could, that would be great.
So you're asking myself and Councillor Jones.
You did yours, I thought.
I started it.
I looked
It's
for it
40
again the
minutes.
other day and I
It's 40
couldn't
minutes.
find it, and then I got distracted.
It's not
So,
bad.
going along with the E-Safety Solutions, which is the company that did the conflict resolution, there's another one on there. It's called Workplace Violence and Harassment and Bullying, and it's an online training course. It's the same idea. It's like 1 hour.
I'll do it.
And it's really short. It's run by the same people, so it's not, well, you wouldn't know, but it's a really easy program. Councillor Wall?
May I ask the cost of that course?
I think it's, if I remember, it's like $24 each. So it's,
more.
yeah. So the more people who take it, the less it is. That's kind of how it works. Is that correct, Sandy? I mean, Miss.
Yeah, it's approximately $19 per person.
Oh, even better. It's $19 per person. So that will be going out as well. And that's my whole
No,
report.
you need a motion for that.
Oh, yes, oh, okay. I'd like to put a motion on the floor to direct staff to register, staff and council to take the Workplace Violence and Harassment online training course for E-Safety First, I think is what it's called. Yeah, can I get a seconder? Councilor Wall, thank you. All those in favor? Yeah.
It's all 5 of us, right?
Yes.
But not staff members, just council?
No, it's staff and council. It's both.
All staff? To what extent are we doing this?
When we did the conflict resolution, I think it was everybody. Everybody took it, yes.
Councillor Rabble, we're only 9 staff.
Okay. No, I'm.
There's not a lot of us.
Yeah.
So
And
it's just an extra 4 on top of the 5, right?
Yes.
Or it's 9 plus
Yes.
5, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then, like, that's how we get it at really cheap rate too, because then I think if you're over 12 people, it gets even cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those. Yes, Councilor Wall?
Just noting, I feel like some of these courses may be kind of like WMIS, where you do them all the time, and
They refresh it.
it's good to refresh.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to note that we shouldn't go overboard on the courses too, especially with staff's
Yes.
time in mind.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's why we're trying to look at those cheap, short, once every few months. Kind of.
There's a ton on that website.
We're 5 minutes a day.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So moving on to question period. Nobody's here. Rise and report none. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Wall? Whittle? Oh my gosh, I'm getting all mixed up. Councillor Whittle motions to adjourn. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Adjourned.